What's up, people? Welcome back. This is Chef Ed Harrison. Today we're talking about what does spice sourcing look like globally. All right. Believe it or not, even though your spices might say made in America, they are being sourced from different parts of the world. Spices are grown where they grow best, right? So it's really something to think about when you decide to go into the spice business, right? Not everything is going to be sourced locally. There are some things that just naturally grow in different parts of the world. And believe it or not, spices will come from 3 to 5 different places before they even get to your warehouse or get to your hands. For instance, you have black pepper that comes from India. You have paprika that comes from India or Sri Lanka or Spain. You have turmeric that comes from India, right? There is cinnamon that comes from Asia. So it just really depends on the spice. Bay leaves are grown in the Caribbean. There's saffron that comes from the Middle East. So different ingredients, different parts of the world, and that's just what they're known for. That's where they're most potent, and that's where you get the best variety. Think of olive oil, for instance. Really great olive oil comes from Italy. It comes from Greece. It comes from Morocco, right? And then maybe there's some really good olive oil that comes from America too. But there are different places for different things. So keep that in mind when you're sourcing or where it is that you're actually getting your spices and your herbs from, because it really plays a very vital role in how you sell. There's multiple layers, and stages or processes before it gets to you, like from the farmer to the processor, the distributor, producers. Like there's so many different places that it drops off to. So that changes the pricing, that changes the quality, right? Because the longer it has to take to get to you, that affects the quality of it. Because with spices and herbs, there's essential oils, right? So if these are grinded in that process of getting from the farmer to the producer, to the importer to the distributor, then the time that it spends traveling and storing in a warehouse before you actually use it, those essential oils are disappearing, those flavors are going away, that aroma is dissipating. And the thing about sourcing globally is quality varies vastly, right? Because different continent produces different soil, produces a lot of different variables, right? Climate. So there's a lot going on, and it could be the same exact spice coming from 3 different places, and they will all taste, smell, and look different, even though it's the same spice or the same herbs. Pricing fluctuates constantly, right? Politics affects pricing, climate affects pricing, the crop yield for that year or for that season affects pricing. There's a lot of variables that go into the final price that you get. Supply chains are another real issue, right? Because you have to think of, if there's congestion at the port, that slows down what's going on, right? If the yield was bad, that slows down shipment. Like there's a lot of things when you are depending on importing your spices, right? So it's really important to work with a company that always has product available, so you're not in a situation now where you're waiting because you are not able to move forward because you're waiting on a shipment to get delivered. Sourcing strategy affects your brand in a few ways. If you go cheap, that's lower quality, lower price. If you go premium, higher quality, higher price, different price bracket, right? But you can't sell premium and you can't offer premium quality on cheap spices. Like it just won't work, and people will see that and they will taste it immediately. At the end of the day, your spice brand is only as strong as your supply chain. So if you want to build a real spice brand, you need to understand where your ingredients are coming from and why that matters. So until next time, stay blessed by the best and season to the best.